Here is something I want you to sit with for a moment. Amazon has warehouses the size of small towns. Primark has buying power that would make your head spin. ASOS has technology, logistics, and a marketing budget that dwarfs the entire annual revenue of most independent high streets combined. And you are never going to out Amazon. You're never going to out Primark. So if you are trying to compete with big retailers by offering a bigger range, lower prices, or faster fulfillment, I need you to stop right now, because that game is rigged and you simply cannot win it. But here is what I know for certain after years of running my own small businesses and coaching independent store owners around the world. There is a completely different game that is available to you. One that big retailers cannot play no matter how much money they throw at it. And the independent shops that are not just surviving right now, but are genuinely thriving and growing are the ones who have figured out what that game is. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how independent shops compete with big retailers and win. Not by copying them, but by doing the exact opposite. Now, before I get into this, I want you to drop me a comment below and tell me, are you feeling the pressure from bigger competitors right now? Are customers mentioning price comparisons or telling you that they've found it cheaper online? Tell me what you are up against. I read every single comment and genuinely it helps me to make the videos that I create more relevant to what you are actually dealing with. And if you are new here and you run an independent boutique or retail business, hit that subscribe button. I post videos like this every single week. And right now, the information in these videos could make a huge difference to your business. So I want to start today by telling you about a boutique owner that I work with. I'm going to call her Rachel. Now, Rachel had a beautiful women's wear boutique. It was a lovely shop in a great location, but she was exhausted and, in her own words, terrified. A large retailer had opened up in her town, and almost overnight her footfall dropped. So Rachel did what she felt was logical. She started stocking more, she had more brands, more categories, more price points, and she bought in lower cost lines to try and compete on price. She basically tried to cover more ground. But what happened was, it made her whole situation a whole lot worse. Her shop lost its identity. Her loyal customers started to feel confused. Her margins started to get squeezed because she was chasing the volume game that she could never win. She was trying to be what was essentially a mini department store, where the actual department stores were always going to beat her at that game. When Rachel and I started working together, the first thing we did was the opposite of what she had been doing. We stripped everything back. We started to get specific. We leaned hard into the things that a national retailer structurally cannot do. And within 2 seasons, her loyal customers were coming back. Her average transaction value had gone up, and she had stopped losing sleep over the competition. This is what I want to help you change today. How independent shops can compete with big retailers is not by fighting on their terms. It's by playing an entirely different game. And that game starts with understanding what you have and what they will never have. Point 1, specialize instead of trying to cover everything. Now, the first move that Rachel made, and the first move I recommend to almost every store owner that I work with, is to go deep instead of wide. Now, big retailers have to appeal to the masses. It's their entire business model. Like, it's mass appeal, mass volume, mass production. And it's why walking into a large chain feels like walking into a catalogue. Everything is there for somebody, but nothing feels like it was specifically chosen for you. Now, your boutique does not have to appeal to everyone. And in fact, if it's trying to, that is almost certainly part of the problem that you have. When you specialize, something huge happens. You become the obvious choice for a specific type of customer, not a compromise for many customers. The destination for somebody, and destination shops do not compete with everyone else. They sit in a category all of their own. I want you to think about what that looks like in practice. Instead of stocking a little bit of everything, you become the store in your town that is known for something specific. Maybe it's luxurious occasion wear. Maybe it's sustainable everyday fashion. Maybe it's gifts. Maybe it's homeware for people who want something genuinely different in their homes. Whatever it is, you own that space so completely that when someone in your town or the neighboring towns need exactly that thing, there is only one place they can think of, and that is your shop. Specialisation also makes your buying clearer, your merchandising clearer, and your marketing so much easier because you know exactly who you are talking to. It's not you running away. This is a strategic advantage that simply no big retailer can replicate because their entire model depends on being all things to all people. Point 2, use storytelling to create connection big retailers cannot buy. Now, big retailers have got marketing departments, they've got brand teams, they've got agencies. But here is what they do not have and cannot even manufacture. This is your story. Why did you open your shop? What drove you to give up the safety of a job or another path and put everything into this business? What do you believe about the products that you sell and the customers that you serve? What do you know about your town, your community, your customers that no head office strategist sitting in some London skyscraper will ever know? That is your story, and that is worth more than any marketing department ever will. When I was running my own small business, one of the most consistent things I noticed was the customers who knew our story, who understood why we existed and what we stood for, were fundamentally different customers. They were more loyal. They spent more. They bought their friends. They forgave us when things went wrong because, let's be honest, we're all human and sometimes things go wrong. Because they were not just buying a product, they were buying into something that they believed in. Now, storytelling in a store is not complicated. It starts with you being honest and personal. It's the handwritten note on a shelf that says where a product came from and why you chose it. It's the post on social media that shows you at a trade show at 7 in the morning choosing pieces for the next season. It's the conversation your team has with a customer that goes beyond "can I help you?" to "let me tell you why we love this and how you can benefit from it." Big retailers train their staff to follow scripts. You can train your team to tell your story. That difference in the mind of your customer standing inside your shop is enormous. Point 3, build community that makes your shop irreplaceable. Now, this is something that has become more important, not less. In a world where you can buy almost anything online within about 2 clicks, people are lonely. Communities have fragmented, and a well-run independent business can be one of the most personalised places left on a high street that feels like somewhere, not just somewhere to transact. Big retailers are not built for community. They are built for transactions. There is no manager who knows your name, no owner who remembers what you bought last time, no one who spots you walking in and thinks about what you might love before you even reach the till. You can be all of those things. And when you are, you stop being a shop and you start being a part of somebody's life. That is a completely different relationship to the one that Amazon and Primark has with their customers. Community building does not require big budgets or complicated strategies. It starts with your existing customers. Do you know who your top 20% of customers are by name? Do they genuinely feel known and valued when they walk through your doors? Do they feel like insiders? Do they feel like they have access to things before anybody else? Like being a customer of your shop is just a little bit special. Because if not, that is the first thing I want you to fix. Because your most loyal customers are not just your best customers. They are your most powerful marketing tool. And when they feel that sense of belonging to your business, they talk about it constantly. And no paid advertising will ever be as credible or as powerful as a recommendation from a real person that loves your shop. Point 4, create in-store personalized experiences that online cannot replicate. Now, This is the one I want to spend a bit more time on here because it's the single biggest competitive advantage that your independent business has that most shop owners are barely scratching the surface of. And I want to be direct about something first, because the in-store experience in most independent stores is not as good as it could be. And I say that with respect, not criticism, because I know how much you care about your shop, but caring about your shop and intentionally designing a customer experience are two very different things. I want you to think about the last time you walked into someone else's store and felt looked after. Not just served, looked after. Someone noticed you. Someone had a conversation with you that was actually nice to have. Someone made a recommendation that was so right, it almost felt uncanny. Someone who made the process of buying feel easy and even enjoyable. Has that even happened to you recently? Because it hasn't happened to me recently. If it has happened to you, how did it feel? Did you buy more than you planned to? Did you tell somebody about it afterwards? Did you go back? That is the experience that your store can deliver every single day. And it's the experience that Amazon, Primark, and every other big retailer is structurally incapable of delivering because it requires something that cannot be scaled. It requires a person who cares, who is empowered to use their judgment and who sees the customer in front of them as an actual person and the feelings and emotions that they have, not just a transaction. And here is what that looks like in practice, right? It starts before the customer even speaks. Your team noticing someone coming in, reading the room, giving them space if they need it, or engaging if they're open to it. Not hovering, not ignoring, actually reading the person and responding to what they need in that moment. That alone puts you ahead of 90% of most retail experiences. Then it moves into conversation. Not, are you looking for anything in particular, which is a closed question that most people will always answer, no, just browsing to, but something that opens a door. Are you shopping for yourself today, or are you shopping for somebody else? Is there a particular occasion that you have in mind today? What kind of thing do you usually look for? These questions do not feel like a sales technique when they are delivered as part of a natural conversation. They feel like somebody who is taking an interest. And then, when you know a little bit more about the person, you can make a recommendation that feels like it's tailored to them. Based on what you just told me, I think you would love this. That sentence is one of the most powerful things that any independent sales conversation can contain, because it tells the customer, I listened to you, I thought about you, and this is my recommendation for you. That is personal, right? That's concierge retail. And that is available to every single independent store owner, regardless of your size, your location, or your budget. Going even further, think about the physical experience of being inside your shop. Is it sensory in a way that feels intentional? Is there scent that people associate with your store? Is there music that's right for your customer, not just your own taste? Is the lighting flattering rather than functional? Is there something to touch, to feel, to interact with that makes the experience of being in your store really pleasurable? These things matter more than most store owners realize. They are the difference between a shop someone passes through and a shop that somebody lingers in. And the longer someone lingers, the more they buy and the more they remember the experience afterwards. Now, Rachel, the boutique owner I mentioned earlier, made several changes to her in-store experience when we worked together. Her team started having conversations with customers instead of hovering awkwardly near the till. She introduced a simple system where her team noted down the names and preferences of regular customers, so when they came back in, they would be greeted by name and shown things specifically chosen for them. She changed her fitting room experience so it felt like a moment rather than a chore. All of them changed how customers felt about being inside her shop. And how customers feel is what determines whether they come back and how much they spend and who they tell. Now, this is the game that big retailers cannot play, because the moment you try and scale personalized connection, you lose it. Now, if you want to go deeper on anything that we have just covered, stage 5 of my Boost Your Retail Sales in 30 Days course is entirely dedicated to turning the customers you already have into your most powerful sales and marketing tool, creating experiences that make customers choose your shop over online. That lesson alone is worth the whole thing. Check it out in the link below this video. And if this is landing for you, a like would genuinely help me get this video in front of more store owners who need it right now. 1 second and it makes a massive difference and puts a smile on my face too. Part 5. Let's bust some myths. So here is the myth I want to bust before we close today. And it's one I hear almost every week. The myth is customers choose big retailers because of price. Now, while that is sometimes true, but it is much less true than most independent store owners believe. And the reason this myth is so damaging is that it leads to independent store owners to respond to a problem that is not actually the problem. When I talk to customers of huge retailers, and I mean really talk to them, the reason they drift towards bigger retailers or buying online is almost never purely price. It's friction. It's the feeling that they didn't quite know what the independent store was about. It's the experience of not being acknowledged when they walk in. It's the sense that the shop wasn't quite for them. It's the fact that it was easier to buy online at 11 o'clock at night than to make a special trip. Price is the reason customers might give you. Experience is usually the actual reason. Here is the quite uncomfortable version of this. When a customer has an outstanding experience in your shop, price becomes less important. Not irrelevant, but genuinely less important. Because they are not just buying a product anymore. They are buying the experience of being in your store, being known, being remembered, being recommended to, being made happy. And that has a value that a cheaper price point online cannot simply cancel out. The store owners who are losing to big retailers on price are usually actually losing on experience, and that is fixable. So here is where we land, right? Independent shops do not compete with big retailers by trying to do what big retailers do. They compete by doing what big retailers structurally cannot do. Specializing instead of spreading out wider, telling a story that creates an actual connection, building community that makes customers feel like they belong to something, and delivering a personalized in-store experience that no algorithm, no warehouse, and no head office strategy document can ever replicate. That is your game. And on that playing field, you can win every single time. Now, the entire Boost Your Retail Sales in 30 Days course is built around exactly this. How to make your physical store so good that online simply can't compete with the experiences that you create. Stage 5 covers turning your existing customers into your most powerful marketing tool. The lessons on experience, on layout, on how customers move through your shop, and what makes them stay longer and spend more, all of it is in there. Go and check it out below this video. And if this video was useful, please subscribe. I post videos like this every week for independent store owners who want to build something that lasts. I hope you have a great day.